Dark Souls is a very important game to me. It's my go-to answer when someone asks me what my favorite game of all time is, and I've got way more playtime in it than any other game in my Steam library. One thing I love about it is the way it seems almost purpose-built for challenge runs. With so many different builds, weapons, items, and exploration routes, there are potentially hundreds of different ways to self-impose challenges that require unique thinking and strategies to complete. Here are just a few that I've accomplished before, but today I set out to complete a challenge which I am not even sure is possible. We're gonna find out if you can beat Dark Souls while taking damage every time you attack and without healing a single time. Let's go over the rules for this challenge. Rule number 1. I can only attack enemies using the weapon that makes this run possible, the Chaos Blade. I'm still allowed to wear armor, defend myself with a shield, and cast non-damaging spells like Magic Weapon and Fall Control, but the only way I can deal damage is with this sword. Rule number 2. I'm not allowed to use any items to heal. That means no Estus Flask, Humanity, or other healing consumables, no healing miracles, and no equipment that grants passive healing, like Sanctus or Ring of the Evil Eye. The only time you'll see my health go up is when I sit down at a bonfire. Finally, I'm gonna be treating this like an all bosses speedrun, so exploits and glitches are allowed, but I'm gonna try to only use them when it seems necessary. With all that out of the way, let's get into it. I created a beautiful little creature and named him Baseball. I thought about starting as a thief and taking the Tiny Beings Ring for some much needed health, but I was forced to be a hunter since no other class has the stats needed to wield the Chaos Blade. I wake up in Undead Asylum, leave my cell, then pop open Cheat Engine to replace my broken straight sword with the weapon I'll be using for the rest of the run. I should probably explain a bit about this thing since it's integral to the grun's mechanics. The Chaos Blade is a boss weapon, obtained by upgrading any of the game's katanas to plus 10, then ascending it with the Soul of Quelaag at the Giant Blacksmith in Anor Londo. Obviously, it's not possible to get that far in the game without first killing several bosses, so Cheat Engine was the only way I could get it this early. It's a pretty strong katana, much stronger than the others before upgrading, with decent range and attack speed. However, it comes with a very major drawback. Every time you slash at an enemy with this sexy beast, you lose 20 HP. With my vitality stat starting at 11, that means I can only take about 30 swings before I die to the self-damage. And yes, you can die to it. And that's assuming I don't get hit by any enemies. See, this is why I felt like it would be a fun challenge. Every time I leave a bonfire, I can only perform a set number of attacks before I succumb to my own blade. And every time I get hit, take fall damage, or get poisoned, that number drops, sometimes dramatically. If that sounds like a major pain to deal with, well, it is. However,
they're so pink. They're Pepto-Bismol.
okay, that's pretty good damage to start off.
Oh, that was great. Lovely.
It's not all bad. With the asylum effortlessly cleared, I was able to ride the crow and begin the game in earnest. As I moved through Undead Burg, I was trying to think of an optimal strategy for this run. Ideally, I should be using as many strong attacks as possible, since I will always take the same amount of recoil damage, regardless of how much damage I do to enemies. Unfortunately, the Chaos Blade, like all the other katanas in Dark Souls, has some of the worst strong attacks in the entire game. They're so slow, so laggy, and tend to use up your entire stamina bar in one swing. They're completely impractical for anything except styling on enemies, so if I want to be doing more damage per hit, I have to rely on jumping attacks, which aren't much better. I shouldn't have to worry about that too much right now, since the Chaos Blade was able to one-shot all the normal enemies in this area. I still couldn't just cut them all down though, because I had to make sure I held onto enough HP for the Taurus Demon. On my way to the boss, I took damage from a Donkey Kong barrel that dropped my health too far for the fight, so I decided to go face Havel the Rock instead. You're probably wondering why I would do this with so little health, and this is where a fun quirk of the Chaos Blade comes in. When you do critical attacks in this game, the self-damage thing doesn't happen.
Oh.
And there's a guy down here who I'm just gonna parry 100
funny.
times until he's dead. I got unlucky when Havel's goons arrived, and I suffered my first death of the run. After crashing my game by updating my death counter, I went for Taurus instead of Havel. Thanks to my high damage and bleed buildup, he was a piece of cake. I used the souls to get enough strength to one-hand my weapon, and put the rest into vitality. With my newfound power, I challenged Havel again, this time being more careful with disposing of his henchmen, and won, earning his ring and the right to wear clothes. I took the lower path through Darkroot Basin so I could grab the Grass Crest Shield, then sprinted up to the Undead Parish bonfire to pour some more points into vitality, giving me just enough HP to kill this Titanite demon. I ended up not having enough souls to upgrade my sword, but I figured it was already more than strong enough to take on gargoyles. I gotta say, getting a tail cut in a single hit in this game is so satisfying. I only took one hit during this fight, and probably took more damage from my own sword than from the actual bosses. Things were looking up for old Baseball. The run was going much more smoothly than I had anticipated, and I'd managed to ring the first bell with only a single death. I was feeling great. Better than great. But then, disaster struck.
No, the run is over.
I heal healed in a no healing challenge. Not only did I let myself down, but I let down all 3 of my Twitch viewers as well. Sure, the only reason I used my Estus was because I was trying to dupe a Homeward Bone and would have gotten healed to full as soon as I did that, but that didn't matter. I broke the rules, and I only saw one way to make it right. Use my Dark Sign and give up the 10,000 souls I just earned from that boss fight. This run was getting too easy anyway. Once I made my way to the next boss, Moonlight Butterfly, I realized that I'd spoken way too soon. And I know what you Dark Souls fans are thinking. Really? You got stuck on Moonlight Butterfly? Or... Okay, never mind, I'll just die normally. Okay, yeah, that's the strat. Don't dodge sideways, just dodge forward.
Fuck.
Damn it!
Yep, it's Jover.
Mod that makes the butterfly 1%. Fuck! I really tried to dodge! Yes, I did. I'm actually glad this fight turned out challenging because it showed how a no healing run can make an easy boss suddenly difficult. See, normally all you have to do is dodge these magic attacks, but even if you take a few hits, the butterfly attacks infrequently enough to allow you to heal between pretty much every single attack. In this run, however, I really can't take more than a couple hits per boss fight, which means I really have to buckle down in terms of dodging these attacks, and make sure I do as much damage as possible during Moonlight's downtime. Also, I think I had some extra mod files left over in my Dark Souls folder, because it kept doing this thing where it would shoot out 2 attacks at a time, and in all my 600 hours of this game, I've never seen that happen before. Getting bent over by a butterfly live on Twitch started to get embarrassing, so I decided to make a detour to Blighttown and grab some souls to make up for the ones I lost earlier. I made sure to kick Lautrec for the Ring of Favor and Protection, then went down through the New Londo ruins, grabbed a handful of large Proud Boy souls, and teleported back. With my weapon now at +1 and a few more points in dexterity, I died to my own sword, but then I was able to finally kill the Moonlight Butterfly. I fucking win, bitch. I fucking win! From there, I ran up through the parish to grab the basement key, forgot I never opened the door and almost died, managed to dodge the Hellkite Drake in a way I never have before, and made it to Lower Undead Burg. After saving Griggs, I ran through to open the back entrance since it'd be an easier path to take, and I triggered this weird thing where the merchant wouldn't stop harassing me.
Wow.
Customer.
So I suppose you think you're special.
Burn in hell. You cross-eyed hollow.
Would you? Yeah or no?
Cross-eyed Hollow.
My god, shut up. Yapper City over here.
Oh my god.
Yo, the delivery
Stop
of the last
talking!
bit.
I want to do a gesture at you. Fine,
It's
fuck
over.
off then. Good lord. I just kept triggering. I wasn't even pressing A. For my first attempt at Capra Demon, I took chat's advice and turned off my HUD for the cinematic Dark Souls experience, then promptly got chopped in half. Next attempt was pretty easy. As long as you can dodge his first swing and take out the dogs, he really doesn't have enough health to be a threat. I'm quite familiar with the layout of the depths, so I was able to just sprint through without much incidents. I even smashed a giant rat just to show off. Easy.
Big ol' goober.
And I get 1 humanity. Fun fact, the
redhead
rats
one.
in this game drop humanity. That's because humans are like rats.
Humans? Oh
That's
my
true.
god.
Gwen said that once.
That's why Gwyn is
Oh my
actually a rat
God.
in disguise.
It's
That's
true.
crazy.
You might think he has a big long beard. No, that's just rat fur, bro.
Your word.
It was
It's when he
free.
poisons you when he hits you. It just looks like fire. It's an
That's
illusion.
why he's the Lord of Cheese.
Yeah,
It says Cinder, but that was a mistranslation from the original Japanese.
that's true. Cheese in Japanese roughly translates to fire food. For some reason that
Top
came
10
out
Dark
as
Souls facts you didn't know about.
Top 10 scariest Dark Souls facts that will keep you up at night.
Pyromancer urinates on fellow hollow.
Sorcerer gets naked. The Gaping Dragon was a pushover as well, and I was able to first try him without getting hit. For how much of a reputation this area has, it's honestly a piece of cake if you know where to go. I put my points into Endurance and Dex, then saved Laurentius. And, with a sack proudly on my head, I dipped.
Oh,
Wow. Wow. Just left us like that. Now we're just stuck at looking at his olive green chair with white cream pillow on top.
the white cream on his pillow, dude. What the fuck?
What the fuck?
Mm.
I haven't been looking at chat, I just see Messi saying, "Oh my god, kill yourself, you suck, kill yourself, kill yourself, who are you?" And then :3. Back at Firelink, I killed this nerd for having 0 drip, bought a spell to make my sword blue, and headed off to Blighttown once again.
Do you think Gwen's packing?
I rushed over to Quelaag and once again pulled out a first try no-hit. But don't worry, I quickly made up for that gaming moment by dying to Ceaseless Discharge because I was being impatient and Johned about it.
I thought you don't lose to ceaseless discharge.
You know, I forget sometimes that hits you, just like, honestly, for no reason is what it feels like, but... I then died 2 more times because I couldn't remember how to beat him after dying to him, and my chat kept distracting me by asking me to do a club foot reveal, so I left.
Only 9 deaths away from clubfoot reveal,
It's not
guys.
happening, ever! I decided to revisit my childhood home, so I age regressed to my egg form and returned to the Undead Asylum, where the Hollows had now discovered fire and would soon have Bluetooth. I traded some poop for Demon Titanite, then went to fight Stray Demon. He's really susceptible to bleed, which is convenient, although in my first attempt, I lost too much health to a bullshit hitbox and just reset before he could kill me. I wrecked him in my second try, then immediately got skewered by the Black Knight right outside his arena. After respawning and picking up my toys, I returned to the parish, upgraded my sword, and entered Sen's Fortress. I made it to the top pretty quickly, but the Iron Golem presented a potential issue. He takes almost no damage from slash attacks, and since the Chaos Blade doesn't do a whole lot of posture damage, it was going to be difficult to knock him off the edge. I was able to get him down to about 10% health, but even without getting hit at all, I died to my own sword before he did. So here I decided to break out the first glitch of the run, tumble buffing. Normally you can't use buffs on unique weapons like the Chaos Blade, but by doing a specific series of inputs, it's possible to use spells like Magic Weapon on anything, so that's what I did. Unfortunately, this only translated to an extra 9 damage per swing, and it ran out halfway through the fight, but then I remembered the jumping attacks exist, and one with plenty of health to spare. In Anor Londo, I poured all my souls into Dex, got a good look at my quote-unquote human form, then ran around grabbing items for a bit before entering the Painted World.
We gotta see like her curled ass toes, bro.
They're not that. What do you mean curled ass?
Dude, look out!
They're just
This
normal fucking toes.
I hate it
Look
here.
out.
They're literally normal toes. She even has like nail polish on, if I remember correctly. Not that I ever like looked that hard or anything. I killed Jeremiah because his hat makes me mad, then did the skip past the undead dragon's leftover ass to get to Priscilla while skipping the bone wheels. First tried Priscilla since she doesn't have much defense, went yellow mode, and ODST'd out. Back in Londo, I upgraded my sword to +4, which made me just strong enough to get plowed by Ernstine and Smo. It was at this point in the run that I remembered a fun fact about my sword that I had been neglecting the whole time. If you're familiar with Dark Souls upgrade paths, or if you ever tried out the Giant Dad build, then you know that you can turn any basic weapon into a chaos weapon at Vamos the Blacksmith. They're similar to fire weapons, but they have the added benefit of doing bonus damage the more humanity you have in your bar. Well, even though it's not really a chaos weapon, the Chaos Blade just so happens to carry this trait as well. I wanted to take advantage of this, and I know I said I wouldn't be using any healing items this run, but I think popping humanity before I leave a bonfire should be fine since I'm not actually using it to heal. After activating my sword's full potential with this method, I was able to no-hit ONS. Oh, let's go! God, that was easy! I was worried for a second when I made it to Guinevere, since normally I just throw a knife at her and kill her to open the path to Gwendolyn, but that would be breaking the rules of this run, and I can't reach her with my sword. I also really didn't want to go get the Darkmoon Seance Ring, but luckily, there's an easy glitch that skips all of that. I do this, so I'll see if I can get it to work. That should be all it takes. Hey! The Dark Sun was a pushover as usual, easiest 40k I've ever made. After I leveled up some more, I noticed that my warp menu was bugged for some reason, showing me places I hadn't been to yet. Locked? Uh-huh. I bought Fall Control from Griggs in preparation for the Catacombs. I hate doing that area normally, and my go-to skip wouldn't work without this spell. Then I remembered I actually wanted to do 4 Kings first, so I could hear them say the words Dark Soul on stream. So after an accidental Estus, I Dark Signed out. I went ahead and just murdered Andre for the Crest of Artorias, since he's no longer useful to me. I ignored the Lordran Fight Club and made a beeline for the grave of Artorias. Sif almost never gives me trouble, and this time was no different. I doubled back to Sen's Fortress to gather up some Demon Titanite, allowing me to max out my weapon. From there, I was off to New Londo, and after a typically painstaking journey through the watery shithole, I was confronted with the fact that 4 Kings have the most health of any boss in the game, including the DLC. With my current damage output, I'd take almost 1000 HP worth of damage in this fight just from the Chaos Blade, so after a couple deaths, I gave up on Darkstalking and just went ahead with the Lord Vessel. I decided to do Isolith first. This time I figured out how to get the easy kill on Ceaseless and did it correctly, and watched as his steamy discharge solidified into pavement. At this point in the run, the challenge started to become less about the Chaos Blade and more about not being able to heal. I had enough vitality to where I could kill almost everything in the game with just light attacks, so all that really mattered was avoiding damage from minions on the way to the next boss arena, then not getting hit too much by the boss itself. Since I don't want this video to be way too long, I'll keep it brief through this next section of the game. Orange Stray Demon was just as easy as the last time I fought him. The Lava and Centipede Demon's arena was a bigger threat than he was, so getting the orange charred ring before killing him made the fight way easier. Killed the Chaos Witch, styled on Kirk, and then it was time for everyone's favorite boss fight. Bed of Chaos was pretty standard, since her attacks tend to just kill you in one hit anyway via fall damage. I exploded right as I got the kill, but thankfully it still counted. But I do win, I think. Please tell me, okay, thank God. Next up was the Catacombs, where I would finally get a chance to use fall control. I've tried doing this skip without it before, and it's actually impossible to kill Pinwheel after taking the fall damage, so it was either this spell or actually playing the game as intended. To no one's surprise, Pinwheel died about 10 seconds into the fight. I've never been a fan of Tomb of the Giants, and I was mad that I forgot to get the Sunlight Maggot before coming here, but Gravelord Nito actually became a pretty interesting fight. Normally, the skeleton ads in his boss arena are just a minor annoyance, especially if you have the foresight to bring a divine weapon. But in this run, every time they revive and force me to put them down again, I lose health from the Chaos Blade, but if I don't keep killing them, it only makes things worse. The best strategy I found was positioning myself so that Nito's attacks would take out his own skeletons, allowing me to focus my energy on attacking him directly. Honestly, I'm so used to just bringing a divine club into this fight and just spamming R1 in Nito's crotch that I was really surprised at how much effort he now required. With luck, skill, and Havel's armor, I was able to pull it off. Just look at how happy I was for a genuine challenge in this run. Come on. Yes! Let's go! I really wasn't looking forward to the Duke's Archives this time around. My father never taught me how to Duke skip, so I always ended up going the slow way through this area, and it really drags on, especially if you're like me and die a bunch of times to easily avoidable things. As for Seath the Scaleless, I died on my first attempt because a chatter told me to cut off his tail, but the second try went off without a hitch. He has more defense than I anticipated, but the classic strategy of hit him in the dick, run away, and repeat never fails. I went back to Firelink in preparation for fighting Four Kings, and my earlier suspicions of having leftover mod files were true. I don't know how I didn't notice before, but leveling up my endurance wasn't giving me more equip load, but leveling up resistance did. I'd already tried to fix this earlier when the Moonlight Butterfly was being goated for no reason, but I guess it didn't work, so I just uninstalled and reinstalled the game to fix it. I went in for a few more attempts on Four Kings, but continued to die to annoying magic attacks, unfortunate hitboxes, and my fucking sword breaking mid-fight. Even the patented full Havel technique was no match for them. And then I realized I had fucked up. I actually ran out of transient curses. Now, you don't necessarily need curses to get through New Londo, but trying to do so without getting hit is an RNG pain in the ass. Now, normally they're a common drop from the ghosts, but they were being stingy this run even though I had 10 humanity, increasing my item find rate, and I spent a whole HP bar farming them. Ingrid sells them, but I killed him for no reason, leaving only the undead merchant in the sewer, but she's still mad at me for poking her through her bars. I even thought to myself, what if I go down to Ash Lake and pick up Great Magic Barrier, since the Four Kings use a lot of magic attacks? Well, that miracle costs 24 faith to cast, which would be a huge investment this late in the game. Okay, well, what about normal magic barrier? That one only costs 14 faith. True, but the only place to get that is from Rhea of Thorland, who I also killed for no reason. Let this be a lesson. Don't kill someone until you're certain that they are no longer useful to you, no matter how funny it'll be. I continued to throw myself at the Kings despite the dire circumstances, even getting them down to about 10% health on one attempt, but it was simply too infuriating to continue. I decided to once again put off the Four Kings until later, and instead turn my attention towards the DLC. The Darkroot Hydra was predictably annoying, but not difficult. Saved Dusk, got the pendant, and returned to enter the abyssal hole of a forgotten manlet. The Sanctuary Guardian and I took turns humiliating one another. He started by making me dodge around like an idiot, and I followed by cutting off his tail and killing him in 10 seconds. Dude, I literally could destroy him in milliseconds if I had 10 humanity on, but I don't care enough. And I'm gonna cut off his tail this time. Bitch! Oh, watch this. Oh yeah, not so fucking funny now, are ya? Ooh, you made a little wind with your wings? Well, I'm stabbing you with a fucking sword, dumb bitch. But I respect you. No time to talk to NPCs, I dashed through the Royal Wood as quickly as my little legs could carry me, then realized I'd been wearing the Covenant of Artorias for the last 30 minutes. Speaking of Artorias, he kicked my ass, but on my second try I managed to beat him almost flawlessly. Luckily, the Chaos Blade does enough damage to hit him out of his charge move, which helped a lot. Easy! No one was even here to see it. I made up for looking cool in the last two boss fights by dying about 10 times in Ulasila Township. I'm not sure what it was about this area, but I just could not avoid getting killed by these stupid bloatheads over and over. I did manage to impress myself by killing a chained prisoner who I remembered being a lot harder to fight than they actually are. The fuck? Leather gauntlets? Sure, man. He was definitely wearing leather gauntlets. Unfortunately, things did not get better with the next boss fight. Manus has the second highest health in Dark Souls, and he's also the boss with whom I have the least experience by far. I just haven't fought him nearly as many times as everything else in the base game, and it very clearly shows. This was the point where the playthrough was starting to make me a bit pessimistic. You know that feeling you get when you're stuck on a video game boss, and on your 4th or 5th attempt, you mess up at the beginning of the fight and you just reset because you think to yourself, well, it's not even worth continuing the fight if I take damage that early. That's kinda how every fight in this playthrough feels, especially if the boss I'm fighting has a ton of health. It's definitely been an interesting challenge, but after a certain point, it just felt like I was playing with an obnoxiously low health bar. By the way, a lot of these boss attempts ended with me quitting and using a homeward bone, since that eliminates the need to pick up my bloodstain and get my humanity back every time I enter a fight. I didn't count these resets on my death counter, but I definitely should have. I'm keeping track of them while editing this, so stay tuned until the end of the video to see how many losses I actually got. I was feeling overwhelmed at this point, and I just wanted the boss fight to be over, so I decided to pull out a strategy that I had been hoping I could avoid since the start. By doing some precise inputs with a bow in your left hand, it's possible to trigger a glitch where Okay, I know it's bad. By doing some precise inputs with a bow in your left hand, it's possible to trigger a glitch where you're two-handing the weapon in your left hand, but using running attacks from the weapon in your right hand's moveset. This is commonly done with thrusting swords, because their running attack hits twice, which does great damage and stagger when paired with a slower, heavier weapon. I did say at the beginning of this video that glitches were allowed, but man, I honestly felt bad doing this, because of course I got him on the first try with it. It's no big deal. I'm about to repent for my sins. Remember how I said I had the least experience fighting Manus? Well, Kalameet is a very close second. I had to run around and fall off cliffs for a while before I remembered where Golf and Kalameet's arena were, but finally I got my big brother to shoot down the Black Dragon so I could fight him proper. Look at how confident I was going into this fight. This is gonna be way fucking easier than Manus, I'll tell you that much. I might die a couple times, but yeah. I died a lot to this motherfucker. I tried to eschew move swap for this fight, instead opting for tumble buff, and I even came one hit away from death before dying to some very questionable hitboxes. Oh! Oh my fucking... No! Eventually I gave up and switched back to move swap strats, but it turns out they barely help for this fight. Getting a running start usually takes too long to be worth it, the move swap katana's hitbox just doesn't aim for Kalameet's body, and on top of that I'm missing out on the stamina regen from my shield. I literally... I literally pressed dodge, but you know, whatever buddy. Whatever. Fuck! Okay, I think that's enough for today. So funny. What is, like, the fucking deal with that shit? Keep getting stuck under his stupid... You have to be joking with that one. You have to be telling me a funny joke when you do that to me. Got him at fucking half health and I haven't gotten hit by anything. Are you fucking kidding me? You have to be fucking yanking my chain here, bud. Literally... Why did that do my whole health bar? It didn't even, like... The Black Dragon pussy meat. Wait. I'm just playing like an asshole at this point. Let's see how this guy fucking does it. Oh god, one more hit. He's literally one... Okay. Yeah, sure. Why the fuck not, man? You do you. But after much blood, sweat, and tears, I killed Kalameet. My heart is beating so fucking quickly right now. Okay, okay. Yes. Oh my fucking god, dude. My death counter was 10 higher than when I started, but counting resets, this actually took me mwap attempts, which was mwap more than the boss I had expected to be hardest, Manus. Finally, the DLC was complete, and it was back to finish off the base game. 4 Kings were my only remaining boss before the end, and now that I had popped my move swap cherry, I didn't feel bad about using it on them. That being said, my earlier problem of not having access to transient curses was still an issue, or so I thought. Unlike in real life, the solution to all my problems lay in religion. By going back to where I fought the gargoyles, I was able to talk to Oswald of Karim, who would absolve me of my sins for just 39,000 souls. 39,000 souls? Are you kidding me? Meaning that any NPCs who I attacked are no longer mad at me, including that foxy undead merchant who sells curses. I loaded up on as many as she could sell, then finished what I started all those hours ago. With Havel's armor, a move swap chaos blade, and a whopping 4 curses in my hotbar, I battled the 4 Kings once again. As much as they've been a thorn in my side for this run, I have to give them some credit for being a shockingly difficult challenge. Much like with Butterfly, I tend to crush this boss effortlessly just by using full Havels and chugging Estus at close range. But now they were one of the hardest fights in the game, based almost purely on their massive health pool. This move is still total bullshit though. In just a few resets, I managed to pull it off, and in one of the coolest final blows of the whole run. That strong attack wasn't even for show, I needed it to win. After 70 deaths suffered in Lordran, it was time to face the Lord of Cinder. I originally resolved to beat him without parrying due to its quirks with the Chaos Blade, but after he splattered me across the cement a couple times, I relented and just started riposting. In a less than graceful battle, I defeated him. Finally. I had done it. With Gwyn defeated, I had killed every single boss in Dark Souls, including the DLC, taking damage every swing, and I didn't need to heal a single time. A choice was presented to me: link the First Flame and use my beloved baseball as firewood, or reject the path of Cinder and become Lord in the Age of Darkness. I thought I knew which one I'd pick, but suddenly I realized I didn't. Instinctively, I wanted to let the flame die out. After all, I'm the wielder of the Chaos Blade, and you know what they say about chaos. May chaos take the world and all that. But then I thought about baseball for a bit. I like to come up with lore for these characters that I create, and play the game accordingly, so I asked myself, why does baseball use a Chaos Blade if it makes things so difficult? Perhaps in a past life he was some cruel, bloodthirsty sword master, and so in Undeath he was saddled with a weapon meant to curb his murderous intent, to no avail. As for the refusal of healing, well, to heal in a fight shows weakness, and baseball is never weak. Or the lore could be that the Chaos Blade itself is cursed. It infested this poor undead's mind, persuading him into relying on the blade's power at his own detriment, even convincing him that healing would hamper the blade's potential. Or maybe, just maybe, he did it all for a challenge, just to prove it to himself that it could be done, like some masochist for other people's entertainment. Regardless of which version of his lore you prefer, it's undeniable that he made a great sacrifice to make it this far. The cruel sword master is out of opponents, the cursed blade still thirsts for blood, and the challenge runner has completed his mission. So in the end, what's one more sacrifice? Hey, thanks so much for watching. This was my first time making this kind of video, and it's by far the longest video I've ever made. If you enjoyed it, please leave a like, share with your friends, and subscribe. I'd also love to hear your feedback in the comments. I want to make more videos like this in the future, so let me know what other games or challenges you'd like to see. And if you want to catch me playing these games live, you can follow me at twitch.tv/YesBectasaur. Special thanks to SN Menji for doing my channel and thumbnail art. I'll leave a link to his Twitter in the description. My name is YesBectasaur, but you can call me Becky. I'll see you next time.